Hi, this is Anna Imagination with a Healing Garden, and welcome to Shifting Perspectives. So, this is a topic I have been avoiding for quite a while, talking about money. I am a hippie, which means that culturally speaking, I am the anti money archetype, and that is the problem. I have been struggling with my relationship with money most of my life, all of my life. I have a very weird thing happening with money. I live very much free spirited with the nature, with this concept outside of the money that says, well, that doesn't apply to me because I'm a hippie. More specifically, that doesn't apply to me because I don't live inside the box. And I viewed very much money as being a thing of the patriarchy. And that is where my misconception went wrong is I thought that money belonged to the patriarchy system. The mindset about money belongs to the patriarchy system. Now, I have this gorgeous PTSD trigger that I developed over 40 years. And when I weeded through all of my triggers, I cherry picked which ones I was going to keep. And I know it sounds weird deciding to keep PTSD triggers, but I realized that keeping the triggers actually were warning systems built into my body and my brain that allowed me to detect actual danger. And one of the things that I'm huge on is a lack of logic or illogic or poor reasoning. If I am around anything that is not purely perfect logic, I have this thing inside of me that just screams, hey, something is amiss. My intuition is so beautifully tuned into logic that if it's even slightly off illogically, I can feel it. It's wonderful. It's very helpful, especially when I study. It's very helpful when I converse with people because if they throw something at me, I can immediately feel it. And if I say something that's inaccurate or I am not capable of proving, it immediately hits me and I go, whoa, that's not. There's theologic happening. So that's the first one. The other one is animal abuse and any kind of animal suffering. I cannot be around it. And in order to get rid of that trigger, I would literally have to expose myself to animal abuse. And we're supposed to be upset about something like that. So I do not even try to get rid of that one. I leave it, it's there. And I do get upset when I'm around animal suffering. So I make sure I'm not around it. And I make sure that those who are around me don't hurt animals. So very, very effective tool. The other one, and this is one of my favorites, is psychological manipulation. This is my favorite one. I love psychological manipulation for it being a trigger because anytime anyone attempts to psychologically manipulate me, my radar screams. Oh my God, do I love this radar. I love this. I love this trigger. Yeah, it's not really triggers anymore. It's just a radar that goes off. And this particular one is it goes off a lot when I'm around men who are trying to use sex and dating to manipulate me. And it's beautiful because it's just this gorgeous, every time I'm around a man who's trying to use that to manipulate, it just goes off. So it's a great keep me safe, keep me like, okay, there it is. I need to get my defense system and lay down my boundaries. And the last trigger that I absolutely hold near and dear to my heart is the patriarchy. I am absolutely honed into the methods of the patriarchy. So if I'm around the patriarchy, even so much as in a 9 to 5 job, my entire system screams because I associate slavery with the patriarchy because that is exactly what happened is I grew up in a system that was so masculine saturated, that was so toxic masculinity, that was so patriarchy obsessed that it literally developed into slavery, domesticated female slavery. And it was 40 years of hardcore abusive living because of the patriarchy. So now anytime I'm around the patriarchy, anything that's affiliated with it, my whole system screams and shuts down. So now I've had to build this entire life away from it, separate from it, just so I can function. And I love it. It's wonderful. So now we're back to money. And I have this thing where money falls into my lap. Money just without me thinking about it, it just money comes to me. Money falls into my lap. It always has. If I want something, it just arrives. I just get it. I always get what I want. And it's always been that way for me. I started to figure this out when I was around 5 years old. By the time I was 5, if I made a wish, it would come true. It's an ongoing joke. And specifically in the last 24 hours, even if I say I hate something, it breaks. And we were going through all the things to be delivered to the apartment. And my son asked if I wanted the Keurig. And I didn't. I did not want the Keurig because to me, it's clutter. So I thought in my head, I hate the Keurig because I have instead this little stovetop coffee pot. I don't need the Keurig. So I said, you know what? Let him decide. It was decided, and in transit, the Keurig broke. This yesterday, I was taking a shower, and I hate my shower head, and I said, I hate the shower head. And today, it broke. And about 3 days ago, I looked at the wedding cake topper that I had from my second marriage, and I said, I hate that thing. And it broke. And I mean, these things all broke in the last few weeks, right after I said I hate it. So I have to be very careful with what I say and what I wish for because I always get it. So when it comes to money, the relationship that I have always had with money is if I need it, it'll come to me. And every time I've needed it, it's fallen right into my lap. And I'm like, woo, I'm all set. I'm good. And I'm very, very happy. I have been anyway with my life until recently. I got to a point where I said, I'm all done being poor. I'm all done. Being poor is very much and it is a symptom of mental illness. We are poor because of our mental illness. So I went to a meeting last night and the lady there was talking about money mindset. And I'm like, oh no, I got rid of that. I'm all good. There was definitely a lot of, if I get wealthy, my father's going to hate me. Well, my father already hates me. So it's like, all right, I don't need to be poor to impress my father. So now I'm going, so what is my situation with money? Where is this thing coming from? And I just came out of the way of the Buddha, where it's absolute, like saturated in complex suffering, where you just have nothing. And what you're really doing when you embrace the way of the Buddha is you are increasing your tolerance to suffering, and you're doing it on purpose. It's actually it is a desensitization process. And I'm trying to figure out if it was healthy to go through. I think it was extreme, and it developed very much the scarcity mindset, which the opposite of that is abundance mindset. So I walked away from Buddhism going, okay, that is definitely not for me. And I did not like how it cultivates the scarcity mindset. And then and for scarcity, there's scarcity and abundance. And when you get into a scarcity mindset, that's when you start hoarding. That's when you start taking. That's where theft comes from. That's when you start to associate not enough. And then there's I am enough. And you've got this nice little balance of sliver right there with the just enough. I have everything I need and I don't need more. That's enough. And that's where a lot of people like to aspire to be. But abundance is where wealth comes in. And that comes with freedom. So I realized that I kept running into these basic arguments that I was having with my subconscious mind. Well, why do you need so much money? Why can't you just have enough? And I don't want to have enough. I have plans. I felt this push and pull in my system going, well, you have everything you need. Well, now I don't, but I'm not going to. I need money. So I'm arguing with myself about this. And I get to this one particular point. So I start Googling it. And this morning I Googled it and I came to this website. I'm going to give him a shout out. This is homeownerprep.com. And he's talking about generational wealth starts with you. This is his podcast. And I do a scan and I get down and I'm looking at the transcript. And he says counterculture. Oh my God, kudos to this article. Counterculture, and my brain just lit up. And there's that little loophole that I need. Being impoverished is very much our culture. And he talks about this in his podcast. I looked through it. And he basically explains that our culture completely nurtures this poverty mindset. I didn't read any further because that's when I went, oh, that's all I need. Immediately I went, being poor is the patriarchy. Oh, that's good enough for me. That's good enough for me. So immediately that trigger just flipped out of my brain. I went red alert. We need money because we need to get out of the patriarchy. And that's exactly it. Is basically having money is the doorway to escaping the patriarchy. And they don't want you to leave the patriarchy. They want you to obey. The best way to obey is to have a 9 to 5 job. I can't do 9 to 5 jobs. So you become an entrepreneur so you can get money and wealth so you can escape. So you can escape the patriarchy. And that is what I see a lot with people, where I'll be talking to them and there'll be oh, I have to go to my day job because I need money to live, but I can't stand it anymore. And there's that massive conflict, and I get it. And I reached a point where a year ago where I said, I don't care what it's going, I'll trust the universe. I am not getting a 9 to 5. I can't do it anymore. And now I've been so separated from the 9 to 5 and the patriarchy. I am so outside of it that I can't even get a job at this point. Like, I can't, it's so anti-me right now. And it always will be. I am officially an entrepreneur. I am officially in there. And there is this mindset that, and this is where I want to dig right into it. The patriarchy has us convinced that money doesn't belong to us. Money belongs to the patriarchy. It belongs to other people, anybody else but you. You can't have it. That's not for you. And it is this hierarchy of there's people who are in charge and there's people who aren't. And if you're not in charge, well, you don't get the money because you're not in charge. You have to be the follower and the sheep. The workers don't get the money. They're the ones who have to work for the people who have the money. And there's this segregation. And they're drilling this segregation into our culture. And what ends up happening is people who don't have money, people who are poor, people who have that 9 to 5 mentality are now angry and resentful at the other side of the tracks. Now there's that rift happening and there's this prejudice, resentment building because, well, they want money too. They don't want to live in scarcity. They want to live in wealth and comfort. And there's this mentality conditioned into us by society, so we'll behave, that we can't have that. So the mindset that you can't have money is 100% patriarchy propaganda. Now this is where my system flares up and I says, oh, fuck that shit. We're getting rid of that now. And it rejects it. So it's phenomenal. Once my brain recognizes a trait, it immediately rejects it because it can't be in my system. It's absolutely, I'm allergic to the patriarchy through and through. So it's this massive, it is a huge perspective where it's so let's redefine it. Let's really sit down and redefine what money is. And there is this, and that's just it, is there is this, money is earned. Let's start there. Money is earned. You don't make it, you earn it. Thank you, Amanda. I messaged Amanda. Amanda is a self-made millionaire. She is amazing. She knows money. Money is her little bitch. And I messaged her. I said, you know what? I'm just going to ask you, how do you make money? And that snarky little bitch, beautiful woman, she messages me back and she goes, no one makes money unless you're living at the mint or unless you're working at the mint. People earn money. She gave me a wink and I went, I've been manifesting the wrong thing. And I said, I bet you I can get a job right now at the mint, easy peasy, because I've been manifesting that I want to make money. And I realized, and this is the subtlety of manifestation, when you get to the word earn is a beautiful term. I haven't been talking about this with people because this is a double-edged sword. If I talk about being poor, then I'm manifested. So I don't want to talk about being poor. But if I don't talk about it, I'm not being authentic. And that's not okay for me. And if I don't talk about it, I'm not doing my exploratory dialogue where I'm dissecting the problem. And I don't want to dissect the problem because I'm afraid I'll unmanifest it. I'll manifest the wrong results. Gracias. So I'm sitting here going, like, where do I go with this? How do I want to manipulate this? I'm manipulating, I don't like the word manipulate. How do I want to steer this and direct it? So I decided it's going to be me versus money now. I have a face off because I got to get this thing out of my head. And I can see me and I know what it is. Oh, I know what it is. I remembered. Ooh, it's all coming back to me now. Oh, I had to remember. This is why we do exploratory dialogues. This is it right here. So I had a memory that I had forgotten that just surfaced, like right now. You just witnessed it. I was watching this movie. I love this movie. I don't know the name of it. I do not remember it. It was a B-budget film. It was actually very well made. It was just a low-budget film, but it was very well made. And it was about, wow, this is just like my brain. Oh, I love it. I love when I get a memory surfaced. It is about this family who moves to this beautiful little neighborhood. And there's a very wealthy family. And the daughter wants to be popular. She wants to go shopping. And she hangs out with this friend. Her friend happens to be the daughter of the richest man in the town. So her friend pulls up in this pink Cadillac or pink Porsche. I think it was a pink Porsche. Mind you, the girl is 16 years old and she owns a pink Porsche because daddy bought it for her. And they went shopping at the mall and she goes, wow, you bought so little. And it was like this little itty bitty paper gift bag. And the girl was like, yeah. And she turns around, the friend who owns the Porsche, and she goes, I always go over. Oops. And she giggles at the back seat that's filled with all of these gifts and all of these shopping bags. And it's revealed later that this girl, the words I'm looking for, steals money from her father so she can go out and get the money she desires so she can go shopping because she was very ashamed. And at this very particular point, this woman or my father looks at me and says, this person reminds me of you. And it was crushing. There's really no other word for it. It was absolutely emotionally crushing to me. I was 14 years old. I am very much arts. I'm very much entertainment. I'm very much take me to Broadway. I love fine dining. I love the finer things in life. I love artwork. And I'm sitting here going, yeah, my father did this massive, that's you. And that's how my father saw me, as very materialistic. And it's something that I've never, it was in my head. And I think that's it. I think that was it, he shamed me for somebody who isn't even me. And he saw this selfish person. Oh, this is very much where selfish comes into it. This selfish, materialistic person, materialistic is a good word for it. And my father immediately pointed at her and said, yep, that's how I see you. Shallow, selfish, and materialistic. And it wasn't me at all. It was just how he perceived me. So perspective abuse. So I'm just like, and it stuck with me. I was like 14 years old and it stuck with me. It stayed with me forever. Like here I am still. And I realized that this core memory of my father going, see how selfish and indulgent and materialistic this person is? That is how I see you. And well, now I have to come to terms with that. I really need to sit down and really, I think that's the core to my money issue is I've been fighting. I need to cry. I have been fighting this shaming image that my father had of me since I was 14 years old because of him. It was very much his projection onto me. And that changed me. And that really got into my head so that I didn't want to be that. I didn't want him to see me that way. I probably should just call my father and talk to him. I think I will. And that's I have the kind of father that I can do that. I can call him and say, I need to say something. And I just need you to listen to me. And I can say, this really fucked me up. I want to be rich and you don't understand me. And because you don't understand me, I'm terrified of having money now because I'm afraid the more money I have, the more you're just going to hate me. And I need to have like this face off with my father. So finding a route to where you're going to get rejection, where you're going to get that shaming. And it's a very real thing that we have to choose between, am I going to be impoverished or am I going to be healthy and successful? And and I hear it, I feel it. The logic, let's go psychology for a moment. Let's just sit down and I'm going to play my own therapist. So what is the most logical course of action here? What is the most logical? Keep it simple. Let's go Occam's razor. What is the real breakdown here? And if I were to just subconscious mind this, the first thing that comes to mind is I am not defined by my father's perception of me. My father's perception does not define me. That's about as Occam razor as I can get. My father's perception of me does not define me. My father's perception of money is not my truth. There. So I'm going to sit with this for a bit and I'm going to process it. And I'm probably going to talk about money for the next few days because I got to get through this. So, all right. Thank you. I have phone calls coming in and I got to eat. So thank you so much. I have information down below. Take a look at my website, www.anashealinggardens.org, and available. You can see there all that I offer and what kind of results you get when you work for me. So take a look and thank you so much. May the kindest of words always find you.